Welcome to another video about the polygonal walls in Albania. This time we will visit two locations that show off one recurrent Cyclopean theme, the Acropolis. Many of the existing polygonal walls we find around the world were built to support an acropolis, a citadel, a flat surface on top of a hill. Implying these walls are the oldest constructions in a location on top of what everything else is then built. Here is a probably surprising list of modern cities built around an acropolis with Cyclopean masonry. Athens, Cusco, Jerusalem, Alatri, and Osaka. These are acropolis. They are not castles, since the protective curtain, the bit that is hard to climb and where soldiers could hide when fighting, either did not exist or has been added centuries later and without polygonal elements. Plus, on top of not having that defensive curtain, what these acropolis usually do have is another smaller flat surface on the top, like an altar, that, over time, can become quite sacred. The Parthenon, or the Dome of the Rock, and this small church in Segni. Being built for an holy place makes sense considering the exquisite finishing of the polygonal stones, as it would mean wasting precious time if built in preparation for a fight. If Saxo Aman in Cusco was an unfinished fortification, as historians say, it's not a surprise that Pizarro made such a killing over there. It goes as accusing the locals of wasting too much time making these stones look very nice instead of being prepared to fight. Overall, there are almost as much evidence of these acropolis being castles as they are of them being landing pads for alien ships.
That's how I know.
Going back to Albania, the places we are about to visit add to the same ideas. At the southern tip of the country, we can find Butrint, once famed for being founded by refugees from the Trojan War, until abandonment in the medieval times, leaving visitors with views to several layers of occupation. Oldest of them all, as usual, are the rough Cyclopean walls that establish the citadel on top of the hill. Second to that, there is a second line of more refined polygonal masonry that sits behind, therefore older, the classic Greek theatre in the lower city. Focusing on the remaining evidence, we have first a Cyclopean construction, creating an acropolis, and second, an ornate polygonal wall that would set up a processional way leading into a gate and then into a bridge across the Vivar Canal. Here is where it gets interesting. Butrint sits at the mouth of a lagoon, the Butrint Lagoon, quite rich with fisheries and agricultural land. For that reason, the Vivar Canal that connects the lagoon to the sea is a promising spot for a city. Today, the crossing of the canal is made via a charming cable ferry. But at least in Roman times, there was an aqueduct, probably built on top of a Greek bridge, entering the city via the ancient lake door, that then, if you see where this is going, just aligns with the polygonal processional way. And there's more. Following a straight line from the old aqueduct or bridge, we get to Kalivo, another imposing hill with equally commanding views over the lagoon and the canal. This second place is very much out of the touristic circuit, and to cover by car what is just 1 kilometer on a straight line, it takes 45 minutes, including the curious cable ferry, labyrinthic dirt roads, and a moderate hike. Once reaching the top of Kalivo, we get to see the walls of the Acropolis. They are Cyclopean, very eroded, and not tightly fitted. They do look old. The Kalivo site was excavated and found to be littered with ceramic from the late Bronze Age, 30th century BC. Thus, common sense would indicate that this is the location of Parva Troy, or Little Troy. Back in Roman times, the poet Virgil visited this area and said that he found a replica of Troy, although smaller, complete with a Pergamo, the name for the Acropolis of Citadel back in Troy. If one believes in ancient sources and in the ceramic findings, Kalivo was built around a probable date for the War of Troy, with its rough Cyclopean Acropolis having been built before the other one in Butrint across the canal. However, the common sense will defeat the conventional mandate that argues that this area was only civilized by the Macedonians, or even Epirus, and thus the ceramic evidence and the ancient texts are to be disregarded. Plus, maybe to avoid questions, the Kalivo ruins aren't even included in the touristic map.
That's how I.
Only by chance, and after a good hike and a literal goat trail, I got to encounter this location, and it did make my day though. On a contextual note, Citadel, Acropolis, Pergamo may seem to be the same, but there are some differences. Citadel means a small city with any type of enclosure. Acropolis is a high city on top of a hill. And Pergamo, as the one in Troy, is for people of the high, where kings and gods would live separated from the common people below. These make us realize the fancy polygonal masonry is more adequate for the latter world. And since this is not what we can see in Kalivo, maybe the little Troy Virgil was referring to is on the hill on the other side of the canal. Wrapping up, Butrint is a beautiful archaeological site that hides the surprising history of Little Troy. And not one but two Cyclopean Acropolis, with the curious case of these not being one in the center of the other, but each on different sides of a canal.
Super brain. That's how they made me.
Next time we will visit Phoenix, with more surprising history being revealed by Cyclopean masonry. Thank you for leaving a like.